Good evening, and welcome to another episode of Tales from the Darkness. Why I Believe in Ghosts, from Aesir. This is all true, based on everything that I've experienced. All of it has happened to me and is real. I'll try to tell it to the best of my memory. Please forgive me if this is long-winded. So I haven't told many people about certain things that have happened to me. Maybe a handful of people, including a couple family members, know. I didn't believe in spirits or ghosts or anything paranormal until events that happened to me when I was in my 20s. Even thinking about posting what's happened to me before makes me nervous that it may start happening again, since it's been a while. I never had night terrors or sleep paralysis prior to this, but now I get them every so often. When I was younger, I dated a young man who was of a different religious faith than mine. My parents are Hindu, and he was a Muslim. I myself am now agnostic. My parents didn't approve and were against us dating. I dated him anyway. His mother, a seemingly nice lady who worked with ESL students, was at first shocked that we were dating. I always had this vibe that she was faking her smiles with me, as I can read people pretty well by their facial expressions and body language. I dismissed what I was feeling and continued to try and warm up to her. After a week of dating, she started giving me a pinkish-colored milky drink with these little beads in it that I assumed was tapioca. I'm lactose intolerant, but out of respect, I would accept the drink. I would try to slowly sip on it, but I noticed she would wait for me to drink it all. I drank this stuff 3 times, all on separate days, while I would wait in the living room. I mentioned this odd milk to a girl I knew from the same country they were from. She told me that the tapioca beads were preyed upon with ill intentions and that bad things were going to start happening to me. She advised me to never drink it again if I go over. When I went over the next time, I accepted the drink, but put it on the coffee table while I waited for my boyfriend at the time to get ready so we could go out. She noticed and asked me why I wasn't drinking it, and I said that I was going to, but I just needed to make a call. While I pretended to make a call, she left the living room and went upstairs. I quickly went into the kitchen and dumped my glass into the sink and turned on the water. No sooner had I done that than she was at the kitchen entrance. She said, "What are you doing?" And I fumbled with my glass and replied, "Oh, I'm just washing my glass." I'll never forget how she narrowed her eyes at me like she knew I was lying. I think I was more surprised at how she was at the kitchen entrance so quickly and quietly. After that day, I didn't feel comfortable coming in the house, so I would wait for him in the car. I'm not blind, I could see the curtain move and I knew she was looking at me. Then it started to happen. I would have 2 recurring nightmares. In the first one, I would wake up in my bedroom and feel scared, so I would go to my parents' room and I would wake up my mom. I would say, "Mom, can I sleep with you? I'm scared." And she would reply, "Okay, go turn off the light." I would go to the light switch, and as soon as I flipped it off, something would grab me by the hair and drag me out of her room, down the hallway, into my room, fling me onto the bed and start choking me while I try to scream for help. In the second one, I would be in my room and the door would be open and the fuse would pop and the light would go off in my room and in the bathroom next to me. The rest of the lights in the house would be on. My mom would come to her doorway and ask, "Becca, can you go flip the breaker?" To which I would call out, "Yes, Mom." I would go down to the basement and walk over to the wall with a panel, open it up and flip the breaker switch. As soon as I would do that, something would grab me by the hair, drag me up the basement stairs, through the hall, up the second flight of stairs, through the hall and into my room, fling me on my bed and start choking me while I try to scream for help. Every time after one of these dreams, I would wake up whispering, "Help me," and my palms would have my nail marks. My boyfriend and I started having troubles. He changed from this kind, loving individual to this abusive monster. He would tell me his mother didn't like how I sit in the car and that I was disrespectful. And I'm sure it made his mom happy that he was fighting with me. He was verbally, mentally, and unfortunately physically abusive at the end of our relationship. When I finally had the courage to end the relationship with the help of my friends and family, the dreams seemed to subside. But then something else started to happen. I would be laying in my bed, half asleep, half awake, and all of a sudden I couldn't move, and I would see a dark, shadowy figure standing by my closet door. Over the course of a month, this happened to me almost every other day, but each time it happened, the figure would be closer than the last. It went from my closet door to the middle of my room, to the foot of my bed, to the middle of my bed, until one night I woke up and it was standing over me. I remember I started crying and was able to move and cover my head with my blanket. After this happened, I got a couple nightlights so my room would always be dimly lit. I told one of my friends of the bad dreams that I had been having and about the black figure. She told me to read Psalms. I can't remember the two she told me to read whenever I felt scared. I figured I would try reading it before I go to bed, so I felt safe and relaxed. I started to read the verses from this little Bible that I've had since I was a child. As soon as I started reading, I would hear a growling coming from underneath this big oak desk in my room. I stop reading, and it would stop. I start reading again, and it would start. I stopped and very gingerly walked over to my desk and looked under it. Nothing is there. I get down on my hands and knees and press my ear to the floor, and I hear nothing. I go back to my bed and sit in the middle and start reading again. The growling is louder than before. I snapped my little Bible shut and said, "Nope, I am not doing this." A couple of days later, my niece comes over for a sleepover with Auntie Rebecca. Young, innocent, kind girl. She's sleeping on my bed, and I'm at my window talking on the phone, when all of a sudden she starts screaming and sobbing. I drop my phone and rush over to ask her what's wrong, and she screams to me that there is something standing over her. My jaw dropped to the floor when she said that. Here I thought I was going through depression, going mental or having a breakdown, but she saw it too. I asked her to describe what she saw, and she described the dark, shadowy figure. I kept on asking myself how. I had nightlights on. In fact, the room light was on. I have no idea how she saw it. No one except for one person knew about what I was going through, and she lived so far away and didn't know my family to tell anyone. There is simply no way for her to have told anyone that I know. This was before the connectivity of social media. After I calmed her down, she fell back asleep. I didn't get much sleep that night. The next day, my niece told my mom what had happened. My mom was shocked and upset that I never told her before. I told her about seeing it too, and the recurring nightmares. She said we needed to bless my room. My mom is Hindu, so she did a small puja and took the fire to my room and blessed it. Everything seemed fine, and I felt happier. That happiness was short-lived. Soon after that, I started having this uneasy feeling whenever I came home late from work or hanging out with friends. As soon as I would reach the top of the stairs and was standing at my room door, I would feel this rush of energy, air. I can't describe this feeling. The feeling that something is coming at you fast. It would rush down the hallway towards me, and I would scramble to open my room door and slam it shut behind me. I'd brace my back against it, almost expecting something to try and open my door. Then I started having dreams of that happening, but I would run to my bed and grab a red phone and start dialing numbers. I would look up while dialing and the call wouldn't go through, and I would hang up and try dialing again. I'd look up and stop because my door was open a crack, and it would move ever so slightly, as if someone were peering at me through the crack, and it was when the crack would get bigger, as if they were about to burst through the door, that I'd wake up. I told my mom that we blessed my room, but not the rest of the house, and that we needed to do another puja. We did, and I stopped having bad dreams and seeing the shadowy figure. For almost 6 years I was fine. Then I moved to Maryland for work. I rented a room in a shared house with some students. My first night there, I was laying in bed and looking to the right side of the room, and in the corner, the shadowy figure was standing there. It frigging followed me from Toronto, Canada to Maryland, USA. I promptly bought nightlights the next day and would sleep with the TV on. I was fine for the year. I moved back to my mom's and everything was fine. I started dating a great guy, who I'm now married to, and at his apartment I'd get sleep paralysis, but I wouldn't see anything. He'd wake up to me moaning, trying to wake myself up, and he'd tell me I'm okay, that I'm safe. We got married and moved into our house, and I haven't had any more episodes. This is why I believe in spirits and ghosts. It's happened to me. Strange things that could not be explained. People scoff at sleep paralysis demons, but to me, they are very, very real. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions for future videos, feel free to leave them in the comments below. If you would like to have your story read in one of my videos, you can submit it to storiesofdarkness55@gmail.com. Pleasant dreams.